Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about 7 easy, simple, yet effective exercises that you can do to help manage your hip osteoarthritis. Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Ed DeBoo, physical therapist out of Integrated Physical Therapy in Bellingham, Washington. The one thing to remember when you're dealing with an arthritic joint is that we want to try to, 1, increase the range of motion in all planes of that joint. And the second thing is to try to improve the strength of the muscles surrounding the joint. I'll be honest, unfortunately, if your hip has progressed significantly with osteoarthritis and bone spurs, your best option may be to have a joint replacement. However, we just don't wake up one day with hip arthritis. If we're truly honest with ourselves, it's been brewing for a while. And that's when we should ideally be jumping on it with some simple but effective exercises to hopefully manage it and maybe even reverse it a little bit and hold off that hip replacement if it's not the right time. So what we'll do first is go over 3 range of motion exercises in all planes, and then we'll go over 4 strengthening exercises. When it comes to range of motion for the hip, the main movements we're interested in is hip flexion, the ability to kind of lift your knee up towards your chest, hip extension, the ability to have your hip behind you, as well as hip external rotation and hip internal rotation. The first exercise is going to work on hip flexion, or the ability to kind of bring your knee up towards your chest. So in this example, I'm going to work my left leg and I'm going to slowly bring it up as far as I can. Now, it's not uncommon to get a little pinching. You might get to the barrier. The idea is to go ahead and go into that barrier just a little bit, hold it for about a 5-second count, and then release it. Your opposite leg, if you can tolerate it, go ahead and straighten it all the way down. And what happens is you might even get a little bit of a stretch in the groin. So for example, if I'm stretching my right knee up towards my chest, it's not uncommon for me to get a little bit of a groin stretch on the opposite side, and that's fine. But the idea is to try to bring this knee as far as you can up. Now, if I bring it a little bit laterally, so it's almost like knee up, and a little bit to the outside to my shoulder, oftentimes I can get a little bit more range of motion with less pinching in this groin area. So I'm going to bring it up as far as I can into the barrier, and I'm going to hold it there for about a 5-second count, and then I'm just going to release it. Now, if you don't have this much flexion, you might want to hold behind the knee, you might want to get a strap, but the idea is to try to bring this knee as far as you can up towards your chest. Hold it for 5 seconds, let it release, and repeat 5 times on each side. The second exercise, we're going to work on hip internal and external rotation. So you'll bend both legs up, and then what you're going to do is you're going to rotate knee to opposite ankle, almost like a windshield wiper, and you're going to go over as far as you can, side to side. We're going to rotate knee to opposite ankle. That's a direction of motion. Let this leg drop out as far as it goes. Try to bring the knee to the opposite ankle. You're going to pause and then back over again. And this is just a limbering exercise. So we're not going to hold it for any length of time, but the idea is that I want you to give me about 15 to 20 of these each side, hoping to improve the range of motion each time. Remember, it's important to go to the barrier and maintain the range of motion that you have. If your range of motion is only this much, that's okay, because if we don't go to that barrier, you're going to wake up tomorrow and your hips are going to be that much stiffer. 15 to 20 repetitions on each side, nice and slow. So we've talked about hip flexion, we've talked about hip internal and external rotation. The last one we have to cover is hip extension, and that's the ability of the hip to be behind us. So most of my clients prefer to do it standing up. So you're going to get a nice big stride. Hold on to a chair or something here if you need to for balance. And then what you'll do is you're going to squeeze your glutes or kind of tuck your tail underneath you just a little bit. And then you're going to come forward on this top leg. And hopefully you're going to get a stretch through the front part of this hip. Now some people will say, you know what, Ed, I'm getting more of a calf stretch. Not that the calf stretch is bad, but we're not after the calf stretch right now. We're after a hip flexor stretch. So go ahead and come up onto your toes. And when you're up onto your toes, then you may have to go a little bit further and sink down. Remember to squeeze your buns Open up just a little bit through the trunk until you get a nice pull through here. What we're doing here is improving hip extension. A lot of times what happens is, especially as we age, we lose hip extension, and so when we walk, we don't have the ability to take bigger strides, and so we end up taking these small little strides. My next exercise is the bridge. And if you've watched other videos, you know how I like the bridge because it can work a lot of different muscles. And we'll show you how to make it a little bit harder. So first we're gonna start with just a single double leg bridge. So both my feet are firmly against the ground. I'm gonna gently try to pinch my shoulder blades together, and I'm just gonna lift up. And I'm gonna pause, I'm gonna feel my glutes activate, and then back down again for me. And back up, and back down. For a lot of people, the double leg bridge is kind of easy, so we'll make it a little bit harder. In this example, I'm gonna work my left leg, my left heel is gonna be further back, and I'm gonna slowly straighten out my right leg just a little bit. So now I have a staggered stance. Whichever foot is further back towards your buns is gonna be doing a little bit more of the work. And as you play with this, you'll feel that. So in this example, I can feel my left glute working a whole lot harder than my right one. Remember to do these exercises equally on both sides. So even if you're having trouble with hip arthritis on one side, and make sure you switch and do the same staggered glute bridge on the opposite side. Once that starts to get a little bit easier, you can go ahead and hold the opposite leg up in the air. So now, obviously I'm working my left leg here, and I'm gonna come up, pause, and back down slowly. I'd like you to do about 3 sets of these. I want your repetitions to be anywhere from 8 to 15. Towards the end of the set, you should start to feel some fatigue. We have to work hard enough in order for the muscle to get the signal to come back stronger. And then do the same thing on the other side. If you've been in physical therapy before, you know the next one is the clam shell. What we're doing here is we're working a muscle called the glute medius. So what you can do is you're gonna bend your legs, and you're just gonna stack your legs, and then you're gonna open up this top leg, kind of like a clam. What I like to do is put my thumb right on that upper lateral part of the glute so I can feel that muscle working. And then back down again for me. It's not a huge range of motion, because if you come too high, your hip's gonna rotate over, and that's not the idea. So just take that pure motion of the hip, pause, and back down again. How to make this harder? You can get a TheraBand and put it around your knees. See how quick I did that? And then the same thing, pause and back down again. Back up and pause and back down again. It seems like a simple exercise, but with enough resistance, I'm telling you guys, you can really feel that outer part of the glute or the glute medius work. Same thing, 3 sets, 8 to 15 repetitions. Do the same thing on both sides. This next exercise is we're going to work this front part of the thigh or the quadricep muscle. If you've seen my video on knee arthritis, you'll know that both of these exercises are similar because it makes sense that the knee and the hip kind of work in tandem. Either way, you're going to squeeze your quad muscle tight. You're going to pull your foot up. You're going to try to bring your belly button in towards your spine. So you're going to try to engage your core, and then you're going to lift up. Touch and go. Keeping the tension on that quad the whole time, as well as keeping your core contracted. It helps to protect your back. Once that starts to get easier, you can come up onto your elbows. Same kind of concept here, and now it's just becoming a little bit harder to do. 3 sets of 8 to 15 repetitions. Remember, the last few reps of every set must be a little bit fatiguing. Once that gets easier, you come all the way up onto your hands here. Pull your foot up here. Now it's going to be harder to bring your leg up, but that's the whole idea. 3 sets of 8 to 15, do the same thing on the other side. The last strengthening exercise is also going to work on a little bit of balance. So grab a chair. In this situation, I'm going to be lifting up my right leg. You're going to stand up nice and tall with good posture, scapula in the back pocket, engage the core. On my support leg, it's not locked out, so there's a slight little bend in my leg, and I'm going to feel my left quad activated. I'm going to hold onto the chair, and I'm going to bring my leg out and pause and back down again. So not only am I working the right glute, but I'm also working the left because it's having to stabilize all my body weight. Once you start getting stronger, if you want to bring a balance component into it, let go of the chair. What you can also do is imagine having a little TheraBand around your ankles, or maybe an ankle weight. Start with like a 1 or 2 pound weight. Remember, your range of motion is not going to be very much. I don't want you lifting it so high that you're getting a lot of trunk rotation. So just go as far as you can. Keep your pelvis fairly level. 3 sets, 8 to 15. Do the same thing on the other side. For many of my patients that have hip arthritis, they also have knee arthritis and maybe shoulder arthritis. So I'll put a video link right up here that I just did to a video that talks specifically about some knee arthritic exercises, as well as some stretches that might help your knee. And I'll also put another link right up here for some basic shoulder exercises that are particularly effective if you're beginning to get a frozen shoulder. All right, guys, hopefully the video was helpful. If you stay with the routine, I can guarantee you'll feel a little bit better in 2 to 3 weeks. Try to get these exercises done, hopefully on a daily basis, if not at least a 3-time-a-week basis, and be consistent with the exercises because they will help. Leave a comment down below, please, if you have any questions or if you just enjoyed the video, and make sure you turn on your notifications and subscribe if you haven't so you never miss another one of my videos. All right, guys, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, you know, most people leave like within the first 35 seconds. Why even click on it? I don't know. Anyway, thanks for staying to the end. Take care.